Hey, I'm Amanda Vernon. Welcome to Word for the Week. My word for the week is "My heart will sing for joy." I'd like to share how I felt God speaking to me in Mass this past weekend, explore what God is calling me to do about that word, and then also ask how this word might apply to your life as well. So I went to Mass twice this past weekend, once with my family and then once on my own. And when I was with my family at Mass, 2-year-old Sarah was very invested in the homily. In fact, she was just answering Father Dan, our pastor's questions out loud. So he would say something and something, right? And Sarah would turn to me and say, right, Mom, Father Dan asked right. And I said, yeah. Or she would just then repeat pieces of his message. So she'd turn to me and say, it's not always easy. Or sometimes it's hard. And at the end of Mass, someone in front of us turned around and said, I'm not sure which of these kids was repeating the homily, but that was so nice. And she was clearly listening. Yeah. When I went to Mass on my own, I was able to listen a lot better. And so at that Mass, Father Capone is his name, who is preaching, and he talked about the gospel story from this past weekend. So here's Jesus heading toward Jerusalem, where he's going to suffer and die. And first they passed through a Samaritan town. They were not well received. His apostles turned to Jesus and asked him, Lord, would you like us to call down fire upon them? And so Father Capone is commenting on this scene, and he said, maybe you've heard of the 5 wounds of Jesus, 2 on his feet, 2 in his hands, and 1 on his side. Well, he said he was convinced there's a 6th wound, and it runs from the forehead, maybe through the eyebrows here, from all the times that Jesus went like this, in response to the ways that his apostles were not getting the message. Like Jesus had already told them, I want you to love your enemies, bless those who curse you, pray for those who mistreat you. And here are his apostles asking if they should rain down fire from the sky upon these people who are not welcoming them. So, as this week progressed, I had a conversation with 2-year-old Sarah that really helped me connect my word for the week with that gospel story. So my word is actually from the Psalm 16, and it's a little bit of a paraphrase from that particular passage, but I think it's consistent with the message of the Psalm. My heart will sing for joy. So this week we celebrated my husband's birthday, and some of our friends came over for a little birthday party, including our pastor, Father Dan. And when it was time for Sarah and the other kids to go to sleep, Sarah approached Father Dan and she asked for his blessing. I said, do you want a blessing? And she said, yes, please. So he extended a hand and said a prayer for her sleep, for her life. It made the sign of the cross, and we went off for her to get ready for bed. And Sarah turns to me and says, where's my blessing, Mom? Where's my blessing? I can't find it. And I told her, it's in your heart. And she's like, it's not in my heart. And Sarah likes to learn things on her own. I don't know where she gets that. Sarah likes to learn things on her own, so I just kind of left it at that, and she was brushing her teeth and getting ready for bed. And a little while later, she turns to me and says, Mom, my blessing is in my heart. And I said, yeah, I was trying to tell you. And then she stops and dramatically says, Mom, it's falling out of my heart, my blessing. It's down there, you're stepping on it. And so there I am laughing at her antics. Again, she's so dramatic. I don't know where she gets that from. And then I realized, as I was reflecting on that interaction with Sarah, thinking back on the gospel for this week and my word for the week, There have been times in my life where I've taken the gift of joy and I have tried to stifle that gift or kind of repress it because I've been scared or hurt. And I remembered this conversation that I had. I believe this is the Holy Spirit bringing this to my memory. I remembered when I was getting ready to record one of my very first videos to post online. I was gonna sing one of my new songs and share it on the internet. It was like, I don't know, 2012. I reached out to someone I really respected who worked in the entertainment industry to get her feedback on my video. So once I recorded the video, I sent it off to her and I awaited her response. And when she got back with me, she said, "I think you're over-sexualizing your mouth." And I remember feeling really self-conscious about her response there. So much so that I just took that criticism to heart. I didn't bring it to prayer. I didn't spend time reflecting on it. I just thought, oh no, this person is interpreting my massive smile as something that I was not trying to communicate. Now, maybe there was truth in what she was trying to say. I think it was valid to ask for the criticism, but again, I didn't spend a lot of time reflecting on it. I just reacted. And actually, looking back, I see that since that time, I've really tried to sort of keep my my smile in check when I'm on camera, especially when I'm singing. And those words evoked other fears that I have, like maybe people will think I'm being disingenuous with my smile. Maybe people won't believe that my joy is coming from a place of truth. So, thinking about the gospel story this week, I bet that the apostles were scared when they were not welcomed in the Samaritan town. I just would imagine that. I mean, there are times in the gospel where Jesus was threatened to be like thrown off of a cliff and he was on his way to die. So it makes sense that if people were not welcoming, it could have been violent. It could have been really threatening to them, to their safety. So the fact that they said, should we call down fire from the sky? Maybe they thought they were doing the right thing, like kind of stopping their direction. We've been talking about love and joy and peace, but this is not working. What should we do? Let's change the course. Let's change the direction. And Jesus responds and rebukes that idea. And he keeps his face set toward Jerusalem and says, let's keep going. Let's keep loving. Let's keep on our journey. And I realized, thinking back on Sarah's little joke with me, oh no, my blessing, it's fallen, you're stepping on it. She really taught me in that moment how comical that is. And that's what I was doing about my joyfulness. Like even the joy that I share through my smile, I'm thinking, if I share it, what if somebody tramples on it? What if they take it for granted and then it doesn't matter anymore? It's not as important. It's not beautiful anymore. Where's my blessing? So what could you possibly take away from this word for the week? My heart will sing for joy. Well, have you ever gone through a time when someone has been unwelcoming to you? Has there been a moment where you've shared your gifts and somebody has said, I don't appreciate that? Maybe you're remembering something now, possibly from childhood or sometime at your work, or maybe something even this week. I want to suggest that maybe that's the Holy Spirit bringing that memory to you now. And I would just like to encourage you to pray about it. I found a lot of peace in praying through this memory that I shared with you. Even though it was painful to think back on, I realized that I could let go of the hurt that came along with those words, and I could keep on my journey, keep sharing my joy. So it's been wonderful to share my word for the week with you. This episode is made possible by my patrons. Thanks to new patron Kelly. Their support empowers me to share my experience of God and the church while I support my family at the same time. To hear a song that has to do with the theme for this word for the week, check out my series Amanda Vernon Unplugged and the piece A Little Bit. If you'd like to help us reach even more people, you can subscribe to my channel. You can comment on, like, and share this video. Thanks so much.